welcome back to yet again another video of mine. You're watching AMAN here on A Tour Beauty. Welcome to a new series of mine, guys. So welcome to my channel, and if you don't know me already, I am AMAN. I've been doing YouTube for quite some time. I've just been an inconsistent being here on this platform. But I've come today with a new series which I am starting on my channel. This is going to be a series of videos which will be released every Sunday. In this series I'll be talking about different types of topics with you guys, topics which I feel like in today's world are very important, just for mental health, physical health, and just as an individual. So I would just want to welcome you guys to this video. I want this video to be really chatty. I want this video to be really homely. I want this video to be something you guys can watch on like a Sunday afternoon, where you guys can just kick back with a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, just a cold drink, a hot drink, a snack, whatever it is that you guys want to do. Just get really nice, comfortable on the sofa, on the bed, and kind of just relate to the things which I talk about. Obviously there's going to be a lot of videos in the series which you might not feel like you relate to. So obviously you guys can just pick and choose which video you guys are gonna watch. I would like if you guys watched every single one of them. But yeah, so getting into the video, guys. Firstly, make yourselves comfortable. I've already got a nice little pillow here. I've just kind of tucked it by my stomach. I'm just laying my hands on there. I already had some coffee earlier on, so I've just got some water over here which I'll just be sipping through. But yeah, so yeah, let's get into the video, guys. So as you guys can see from the title of this video, this is about mums. This is a parent talk. This is about us, and this is about the questions that you guys asked me. So I did a Q&A over at my Instagram, which is linked here. If you're not following, then get following this one, because this is where I'll be asking questions for all of my upcoming topics. So follow me here on my Instagram, and that's where you guys can see them. But I asked some questions over on my Instagram about being a mum. I was just very vague, and I just said, give me questions about being a mum. Like, I didn't want to get into a specific topic. I just wanted to expand it and just be like, yeah, just give me some questions, people. So I'm going to talk with a very, just a very frank question is, how did we know we were ready for kids? So we knew we were ready for kids because as soon as we got married, we knew, well, before the wedding, we knew I had PCOS. So that is basically where you get cysts on your womb, and they affect your periods, and they could affect fertility. So I was just going to the doctor because I was not getting my periods regularly, and obviously when they did some bloods and they took some samples, they told me that I wasn't ovulating. So they told me I wasn't ovulating. Then we got married, and we just both decided that we are going to have unprotected sex and see if we get pregnant. At that point where we started, we literally had no timeline. We were like, yeah, if we get pregnant right now, that will be amazing. If we get pregnant like 4 or 5 years down the line, that's great. We thought our fertility journey was going to take longer than we thought, but Vibru was with us, God was with us, and within literally about 2 or 3 weeks of unprotected sex, we fell pregnant. So we kind of just knew we were ready. I think the fact that we had PCOS kind of just forced it on us. But when we found out I was pregnant, it was a shock because we felt like there was so much we wanted to do being married, but we were ready. I mean, it's that thing, we knew we were ready. What would you recommend for a feeding routine? So I get this question quite a lot about how and when I know to feed my kids. So as obviously when they're babies, the midwife would obviously recommend just feeding them whenever they kind of just suck on their hands. So that's exactly what I did with Harvey. With Abby, it was a little bit harder because I felt like she started sucking on her thumb. But again, I just fed her when she was hungry. Abby still now is 2 years old. Obviously there's this whole science behind you should wean your baby off the bottle as soon as they're 1. I did not do that with Harvey, and Abby is still having her milk bottle. I don't take her milk bottle off of her. I still try and give Abby milk every time she asks for it, because sometimes she doesn't eat an entire meal. So when she doesn't, I just kind of give her milk in and out of her meals, which I feel like is fine for the moment. And then as they become older, I think when Abby is completely off her milk bottle, she'll be on the same routine as Harvey, where they have breakfast in the morning, they have lunch, I usually give around between 12 to 1, and then they have dinner around between 5 to 6. The gap between lunch and dinner is usually really spaced out, so that's when, if Harvey's at home, I'll give him milk in the afternoon, but they do have snacks for fruit, and they have snacks in the morning for fruit as well. I don't encourage my kids to have sugar, so I do try to really limit the amount of like biscuits, and they don't have chocolate at all. They rarely ever have crisps. I'm trying to encourage them with crisps now because they never had them before. But even with crisps, I'll just give them something like Quavers or Skips. Something very subtle like that. And that's kind of what I give. And even for snacks, like you can give them like frozen like strawberry yogurts and just things like this, like frozen fruits. Abby loves like frozen bananas, so that's one thing I would recommend. So yeah, I would have a routine. I would definitely recommend a routine. You don't want your kids to go into the kitchen and just pick out on snacks. It's not healthy for them in the future. So yeah. So another popular question which I got was, does living with the in-laws affect the way you bring up your kids? So yes, of course it affects the kids, like the upbringing and the way we bring up our kids. Of course it does. So now I feel like this is a question which has pros and cons. So it has its good points and it has its bad points. I'll go through the bad points first because they're nothing to overcome, and I'll tell you how I deal with them. So the bad things are like, yes, do grandparents give them sugars? Yes, they do. Do grandparents not stick to routine? Of course they don't. Do grandparents like just often do things like, often one of the examples is I'll put Abby on the naughty step, and my father-in-law has the biggest tendency to go and pick her up. He will let her cry out for about 5 minutes and then he will go and pick her up, which beats the purpose. But I still feel like Abby is scared of the naughty step because my father-in-law doesn't pick her up straight away. But if he did, I would usually just sit down and speak to him and say, look, this is a system that we do. You know, life is a lot different from the 20th century where you could just hit the kids, and you can't do that in this day and age for many reasons. So the new way that we discipline the kids is we don't shout at them because we don't do a lot of shouting in our house. So it's basically just putting them on the naughty steps. So that's the way I would explain to him. And again, with like snacks and sugars, I'm doing this. And obviously I've left the kids with the grandparents and the grandparents are there. One way of thinking it is, come on guys, the grandparents are wise. They've obviously brought us up. They brought us, like they've lived longer than us. Although when they hit that age of grandparents, they tend to forget the bad stuff about sugars and like routines and things like that. But I feel like the grandparents would never do anything bad to these kids. Like, there's a saying in Punjabi, mool nalo byaj pyara, which basically means that your grandchildren are more dear to you than your own kids are. So they would never do anything, or they would never do anything to put these grandchildren in a like unsafe position. So I feel like you should trust them with all your heart. Yes, they do mess up routines, but I feel like it's always good to just sit with them and talk to them. Like, my in-laws came, they're very different, they're from India, they're from back home, they're desi, they don't always understand every concept. But my God, they are very understanding and they're open to conversation. So, as well as I am, I'm not perfect, and there's many things about me that they may not like, and it works both ways. So I feel like we have this mutual understanding and we can sit down with them and talk to them. And it's been really good because at first my mother-in-law never used to always stick to a routine in terms of eating and drinking. And I always felt like I had to run around. But my father-in-law was like, no, they want to do these kind of things. And it's been really, really nice because I felt like they've now got into grasp with the kids' routine. And especially during the weekday, they really stick to the routine, which I absolutely love. So that is, I would say, the bad stuff, like when they mess up the routines and things like that. The good points of having, like the good influence of the effect of grandparents on the children's upbringing is state of mind. State of mind. It's not healthy for us to, especially if you've got the help, use the help. I know that there are thousands of people out there who don't have the help that I've got, and they haven't got the help of grandparents and support around them. But if you do, guys, use it because it's healthy. Spending time solely from morning to the evening, if you can get sick of the kids, imagine the kids can get sick of you. Or if you're working or you're cooking or you're doing something, the state of mind that kid, the changes in that kid's head because they've got time with their grandparents is a big difference in their life. You don't have to feel guilty for being somewhere else because they've got that company with their grandparent. And yes, their grandparent may not be doing homeschooling, or their grandparent may not be teaching them things academically, but they're still teaching them something, whether it's a language, whether it's some like motor skills, physical skills, they're still teaching them something. So I find the influences of having grandparents is just amazing. And like I just mentioned now, like the skills that the grandparents give as well are just absolutely amazing. And that's the way I'm taking it. It hasn't always been the most easiest and flexible journey living with my in-laws, and I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not gonna just kind of like mollycoddle my entire life and just drape it as a secret and say, yeah, living with in-laws was slap bang easy. They came into my house and we were playing hunky-dory family life from day one. It hasn't been easy, but I think we've over time learned to adapt, and that is all I'm gonna say. Adaptation is a big thing. Sometimes I feel like my topics must go off topic a lot as well. Like, I don't know, but this is what it's meant to be. Like, this is a chatty series. Like, I want to sit here and chat. I don't want to have, this video isn't meant to be like really formal and me just sit here looking pretty and my hair looking all pretty and, you know, thing. I want it to be facts, and I want to talk about this as openly as possible. So I do know it's going to be a long series, it's going to be a long episode. So another very, very, very popular question which I got was about how I manage breakdowns, and if I can give any tips on managing everything, about just kind of managing the house, kids, husband, married life, and how I've dealt with everything and breakdowns. So I'll be very truthful, yes, it has been a long journey. I never felt the pressures of being a mum when I had one child. I definitely felt the pressures of being a mum when I definitely had my second child. So the age gap between my kids is just under 3 years. So Harvey was nearly 3, and that's when Abby was born, and it was the most difficult time of what I would feel at the most my life. Abby was very demanding as a baby, and the amount of mum guilt I carried over about neglecting Harvey and neglecting my son, to always be in a constant need of attention for my baby, it was really, really difficult. On top of that, we had COVID, and I live with such a big support system. So to suddenly have all of this support taken away from me was just really, really hard. I've also moved a very long way away from where any of my friends, I mean, not a very, very long way. I can still get to my family, but I am living in a different area, and it is really difficult because no one wants to come to me. I'm far out. It's too much traffic to get to me. So it has been really hard. So I do have multiple breakdowns. I've had less breakdowns. I think I've probably only had like 1 breakdown since my in-laws have arrived. But prior to this, I've spent so long on my own, and I would probably have like 2 or 3 breakdowns a week where I basically felt like I was being a bit of a bitch towards my husband. Because every time he came home, I just felt I was this needy cow who always was like, I'm craving another adult, I'm craving another adult, I'm craving another adult. But when we are craving another adult, So if you don't already know, I work from home 5 days a week. I work from home 5 days a week. My job is 8 to 5. I work for an American company which requires a lot of my time, late afternoon, even the evening. So I felt myself like working round the clock. And then on top of that, I'm trying to achieve something like I want to be. I mean, there's no kidding, guys. Like, I'm doing vlogs, I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing TikTok. There's no lie. You can see behind this wall of protection that I've lived against for so long. I want to be a full-time influencer. I want to be one of those. And I felt like I was just losing myself. Like, it's so hard to manage everything. So how I started dealing with everything was I started writing everything down. I've literally just got myself a notebook, a pen and paper. And one thing that I've learned over time is don't buy yourself a notebook which is a calendar. Because I feel like today you'd have a good day, tomorrow you'd have a bad day. Today you'd have a good day as in you'd write everything down. You'd write the date, you'd see it's Monday, you'd write everything down, but tomorrow you wouldn't. And when you start seeing empty gaps in your notebook, especially like me, it started giving me like, it's empty, it's like a hole. So it was starting to make a hole in my life. I started feeling like something was missing. So I've gone back to just getting a plain notebook with no date, and I'm in control. I can write the date, I can write my to-do list. So what I started doing was I started writing things down and have routines for cleaning, bathroom cleans, a kitchen deep clean. Give yourself days that you're going to do each thing. It's not practical to clean an entire house in one sitting. With 2 kids or 3 kids or 1 kid, it's just not possible. So give yourself days of doing stuff and give yourselves pamper days. Often as mums, we don't give ourselves days where we're completely doing absolutely nothing. In the way we live now, not being with family and living on your own, we don't have like a day where we're doing absolutely nothing. But it is important, and over time also give yourself time to sleep with your baby as well. Like, if you've got a child, one child is in school, then let that child go to school and let your husband be at work, let your partner be at work, and be at home with your kid. And when your kid goes to sleep, go to sleep. Don't feel guilt for going to sleep, and don't feel guilty for not doing something. I know sometimes when the kids are younger, it is hard, but it was really difficult for me. And like I said, I often had loads of breakdowns as well. I would write a journal, I would write my to-do list, I would just do little things. And sometimes even when I cook, I get the kids involved. Like, if I've got my younger daughter, Abby is so young, like before I couldn't get her involved. But what I would do is if I'm making Indian food or whatever food I'm making, I would give her like some cheddar cheese and let her play with it, let her put it in her hands, let her try and eat it. With Harvey, I would often say to him, why don't you pass mommy this, or why don't you pop this into the pan? Get them involved. So when you are doing stuff like cleaning and cooking, let them help you, because then they feel involved. You feel less guilt for not spending time with them, and yeah, it just gives a little bit more to doing this. And definitely talking through about things with people really help. And I know sometimes it feels like you can't talk to friends, because I feel like not all of our friends are on the same like page as us. But talk to a loved one, talk to your mum, because guaranteed your parent has gone through what you're feeling now as a parent when they were parents. So definitely talking to a loved one is something I would really recommend. I hope I've asked that question well. I really hope, because I feel like I haven't, but then I kind of feel like I have. But send me a DM, guys, or let me know down below in the comments, and I can try answer more specific details or something. And use the comments area as a bit of a chat room to try and talk to each other as well. I would really encourage you guys to talk to each other and explain to each other as well about how you guys feel. Next question is, me and my partner are trying but cannot find the time between, trying for child but can't find the time in between current child. So, What do you mean that you're trying to have a child? Are your lives really busy with just one child? You're too scared of having the second one? And don't be put off like what I've just said, like having 2 kids has got to be the hardest thing, because it does phase out. Avi is now 2 and Harvey's 5. I feel like that time is now phasing out. They're at a good age now. I feel like, yeah, they're at a really good age. I feel like they're a lot more understanding. So I feel like when you do have your kids quite close by, they grow up together, you've got this one area of traumatic experiences, but it phases out. If you're talking about like how to have a child, like is your child demanding in terms of like sex, and you're trying to have a child and it's just too difficult, I would just then say like get your child into a sleep routine about having quality time together. So something which I can actually answer is in another question is like, what's your sleep schedule like with the kids? So I'm going to answer these 2 questions together. So we have a sleep schedule. Harvey obviously goes to school and I like him to be sleeping by 8 o'clock. So this doesn't mean he's in bed at 8 o'clock. It means he has to be sleeping by 8 o'clock. So a new thing I do is with my baby, as a newborn, I feel like when they're about from 0 to about a year or 0 to about 9 months, I always bath my kids at night, because once you bath them at night, they sleep because they've just had a shower, they sleep during the night, which is amazing. Now that Avi is older as well, she's 2, so I don't bath her at night anymore because her pattern at night is already pretty decent, it's good. So what I do with her is I bath her during the day. So what I do is I let her enjoy her morning. She wakes up quite early and I bath her around 11 o'clock, 11 in the morning. And then she'll have a bath, she'll tire and she'll sleep from like 12 to 2. With my in-laws here, they're looking after her sleep pattern a little bit more. But yeah, again, from that time, 12 to 2-ish, that she's fallen asleep. And then with Harvey, I'll often give him a shower as soon as he comes back from school. So what I do is I manage his sleep because they have like story time, both the kids. Give them a story, let them unwind into bed, read them their story nice and slowly in their bed, and give them about an hour to sleep. So I always take Harvey upstairs around 7 and slowly like wean him, read a book, and they slowly go to sleep. And if they're asleep by 8 o'clock, then you've got quality time to yourself. I'm not saying that you need to sleep at 8 o'clock. You can sleep at 10, 11, whatever time. But make it out to the kids that you've gone upstairs. Like turn off all the lights, start getting upstairs, get them into their bedtime routine. And then once the kids are asleep for a certain time, you've got the rest of the time for yourselves. And that's where you can then physically try for another kid. And when you have these routines as well, you'll realize you've got a lot of time to yourself, and it just comes. In terms of like, because you're so busy with the first kid, do you have a second kid or not? It depends on yourself. If financially you can do it, I would definitely recommend it, because having that second kid, you won't know until you've got into it, right? You won't know the outcome until you've gone into it. So that's how I would take it with that one. And I hope I've answered the sleep routine question as well. So I have severe mum guilt. Even right this second, I'm having mum guilt. Today is basically half term whilst I'm filming this video. So Harvey is at home today. So in order to get over my mum guilt, I have mum guilt with Abby as well, because I am the most far, I wouldn't say I don't know, I feel like it's an even balance. Well, Abby kind of spent some time with her grandparents and I felt guilty for neglecting her and leaving her with them. But I basically sat here and I was working. Even though I'm on annual leave, I sat here and I was working. And then in order to not feel like I'm neglecting Harvey, I had Harvey sit in my new office just beside me on a table and chair. And Harvey just basically sat there and did some school homework. So that kind of overcame my mum guilt. And then he went back into the house and he's been spending time with his grandparents. He had lunch with them. And then I've been doing YouTube and kind of like content stuff. So you feel guilty all the time. Like if you're working, you feel guilty. You feel guilty even if it's like their days off, like it's half term, and you'll feel guilty. Today I probably don't feel guilty because I'm letting him have a relaxing day, but then I'll feel guilty for I've not let Harvey do anything, or I've not taken him out and I should really be doing something with his half term. So it's like an ongoing mum guilt. But I'm telling you, whatever kind of mum you are an amazing mum. Mum guilt is real. It really, really hurts. And I feel like it's this little awkward spiral that we mentally have going on in our head nowadays. And you could just keep going and going and going in that spiral. So if you feel like, yeah, I'm such a bad mum, and then you think I should have done this, or I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and done this, and it's just going to keep spiraling out of control. You can put a stop to it and say, yeah, I probably didn't do anything with my kids then, but I'm going to do something with my kids now. So it does exist, and in this world where financially it's so expensive to have kids, you're going to find you've got a lot more mum guilt than normal, because it's really hard to work and like financially keep yourself stable and give your kids all the time. But trust me, sometimes it's good to leave a kid sit down and do a puzzle for about half an hour. Sometimes it's good to leave them alone with a bit of paint pots. Yeah, things get messy, and someone like me who really is very OCD and who likes home decor and likes to keep things pretty, trust me, even I just let them go crazy with paints and colours, because they need that. Kids need that, guys. So definitely mum guilt does exist, and like I said, you're the only one who can control it. So yeah. Another big question, a very popular question I was getting, was screen time. Do I give my kids screen time, and how much? Now this is a hit and miss with us, because we don't really give them as much screen time as I believe a lot of parents do. I came from a background where we had the most ugliest teeth. We've got lots of family with glasses, and I don't know, and someone who does makeup and stuff like that. I'm not saying physical appearance is everything, but yes, glasses and teeth are two things which I will swear by. So when it comes to sweet things, eating and drinking, I control, and when it comes to screen time, I control. So my kids, neither of my kids have ever really had phones. I've never really given them phones. I wouldn't say Harvey knows how to function a phone, to be honest. He doesn't know how to unlock a phone, and we don't play games on our phone as well. So a person who is quite online for like Instagram and TikTok, we try not to sit there with our phones in our face, because we don't want the kids to ask us what we're doing or what we are. So we have no games, and it's only recently now that I bought the kids their Amazon tablets. And again, I chose Amazon because they were more for educating and learning, and they were more age appropriate compared to iPads. So that is why I bought them the Amazons. And it's been really, really good, because I gave them and I let them go crazy whilst we were on holiday, when we were doing eating and drinking and dinner times. We gave them there, they were busy with them. But now I think I must give them to them probably once a week, if that. I'll be honest, every time I go to reach out for that Amazon, it's always battery dead, because we don't charge it. The kids use it, they die, and I leave it there. So I still don't let Harvey do any kind of like app related homework, unless he has his school homework where he uses the normal computer, uses his mouse, keyboard and stuff like that. Very rarely will I have him read a book on there. I like the thought of the physical books in hand. And we don't take them out. We've never gone to a restaurant where we've taken one of those out with us. I think my kids are very good when they sit down with doing things. So as a parent, it's your own control. No one's saying you're right or wrong. You can give them as much screen time as you want. I just don't encourage my kids to have screen time. Yes, sometimes we just need to like cut the chase, and we need to be like, you need to be quiet, here's this. Like there are times where their grandparents are watching something very important, or they're doing something, and we really need to like quieten the kids. I will still try and give them a puzzle, We have a playroom. I'll give them colours. Crayolas are the best thing because they're magic markers which don't go anywhere. So usually I'll give them puzzles, colours and stuff like that to do. And if nothing's working, which often it does, but if I need to go for last resort, that's when I'll give them screen time. And like I said, it will literally be their tablets and no phones or nothing like that. I even encourage my in-laws to never, like my father-in-law, to never give the kids his phone. It's just something that I just do not encourage. But this is it, guys. This is going to be the end of today's little topic about mum life and dealing with kids. I really hope I've answered your guys' questions to the best of what I think I've answered them to. I don't know why I feel like this needs to be more of an open discussion. So what I am going to do is I'm going to upload this video and hopefully I can answer some more questions if you guys do have any. Please do not forget, if you do have more questions, do reach out to me on Instagram and do reach out to me down below in the comments, because I would love to have a part 2, because I feel like this topic is a very hot topic. I feel like there's so many answers which are just unanswered, and there's so many questions that people have in this kind of like parenthood and this parent life that I would love to answer. I'd love to know other people's opinions. I'd love to know what you guys think and just stuff like that. So I just want this to be a series where we can just sit and chit chat, guys. Like, I want to have a series on my channel where we talk about topics and you guys can know more about my life, get into my life like personally, and criticize things that I do as well. Like, you can leave criticizing questions as well. So yeah, I want to do these. So I'm looking forward to this one. By the way, before I leave, I'm going to mention the next week's topic. Next Sunday's topic is going to be how I deal with living with the in-laws. This is another big question which I'm getting, so ask all of your questions down below and also DMs again on Instagram, and let me know what questions you guys want to know about living with the in-laws, and I'll be doing that in the second episode of my Sunday series, guys, and I will answer all of those questions there. But like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this chit-chatty video, and hopefully you guys will like, share and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram, which is linked over here, guys, and also don't forget my other platform, which is my TikTok, which I've linked over here. So follow me on all of those platforms, and hopefully I shall see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.
We got everything we need right